scene. DJ Crooks, aka Mr. Crooks, Daniel Crooks, J producer, played at a number of places in Los Angeles, recorded a number of songs for different artists all over. And I was asked this question by Janelle White. Question is, what major obstacles prevent the Jamaican music industry from making more inroads in the lucrative North American market? And I'm going to repeat the question. What major obstacles are preventing the Jamaican music industry from making more inroads in the lucrative North American market? And the North American market is very lucrative. It made over nearly $6 billion in 2018. So, okay. There are a few things that I think hold back the Jamaican music industry from the lucrative North America. And some of those things are done by the creatives. Some of those things are done by the country. Some of those things are done by the North American market. It's a number of things that the Jamaican music industry faces. The first thing I'd probably say is a lack of visas. A lot of the artists can't travel to North America for one reason or the other, and therefore their presence is not available in North America. Therefore, there's not a market for them because there's no awareness, and where there's no awareness, there's no market. All right. So I feel like once some kind of deal can work out there where more artists and more creatives can travel to the market and service the market, then you'll see more inroads leading into that market. But for now, it's kind of shut. It's kind of shut to a lot of people. The second thing I think is bothering the Jamaican music industry is the content and the accessibility to that content. So, with the lack of things like Spotify and Pandora in Jamaica, artists have a hard time clicking into that market. And majority of the content, I would say, it's not necessarily catered to a North American market. It's catered to the Jamaican market. So it's not necessarily wanted over there. It's not like we're making a bunch of pop songs and it's like, yo, we need this in North America. No, it's not necessarily wanted. So I feel like the content needs to be more tailored towards the market that you're trying to service, and not just try to force feed people things that you believe that they should like or they must like. You know, another thing I feel like the biggest problem that the Jamaican music industry faces in North America is the reliance on the North American market. And a side note to that is the fact that compared to the North American market, there's not a lot of surrounding media industries that would facilitate music, if you get what I'm saying. Whereas in the North American market, you could have a song, have that song be serviceable to the radio, and then from there have it be featured in a movie, and from there have it be featured in a commercial, and from there have it be featured in another commercial. And there's a steady cycle of music that is specifically made for this cycle of commercialism. We don't have that in the Jamaican music industry. So there's a lack of finances. And if they were making enough finances within the Jamaican music industry, there wouldn't be a need for access to the North American music industry. I believe that as a Jamaican artist, being a top tier Jamaican artist should mean something. And there should be an academy awarding and facilitating and promoting homegrown Jamaican music. I mean, I feel like there's a few things. There's a few things. If you feel like we need to tap into this market because it's a very huge market, it's a $1 billion grossing market that we're trying to tap into. There's a few things that you have to do, and you can't live in your bubble and try to access another bubble and wonder why it's not clicking. A lot of artists that make it in the Jamaican music industry don't necessarily live in Jamaica. So when you think of top tier Jamaican musicians, when you think of top tier Jamaican musicians, Bob Marley left Jamaica for several years. Sean Paul tours all over the world. Sean Paul doesn't make music to service Jamaica. Shaggy doesn't live in Jamaica necessarily. Cranium, if you want to be more recent, Cranium lives in New York. There's still Sean Paul. So it becomes a situation of, if you want to service the North American market, you need to live in North America. And you need to service the North American market. You can't make Jamaican music and force feed it to the North American market and wonder why it doesn't work. So now when we talk about trying to be prestigious in the North American market, we look at things like the Grammys, we look at things like the Billboard Awards, and we look at things like the American Music Awards, and we look at all those awards and we try to figure out how can we tap into that, and not how can we create our own and gain leverage, which is what I feel like the industry lacks. There's no leverage, there's no reason. You know what I mean? There's no reason to do it. Unless you live in Jamaica, there's no reason to do Jamaican music. And that needs to change. That is what needs to change. So, the first suggestion I would have, if you want to service the North American market from the Jamaican music industry, is to service the North American market. You need to see what they like and give them that. With a hint of you, but give them that from you. Don't just give them you. If you get what I'm saying. There's a particular mode, layout, style. There's things that the North American market likes and does not like. There's things that it understands and it does not understand. And the things that it does not understand, does not support, and therefore it does not fund. So if the content does not match my ideals, I won't fund it. If I don't understand the ideals being portrayed in this song, I don't support it. It would have to be then force fed to me. So I feel like it's more understanding the market. We understand the Jamaican music industry and we understand what Jamaican people like. but we haven't gotten to a point of monetizing yet. And I feel like a big part of it is that fear of selling out. You don't want to sing any sing-songy songs. You don't want to sing any stupid songs and have songwriters, and it's a whole setup that a lot of people really don't want. And that's what accessing that industry comes with. Because they see certain people and they think it's just them. And you think if this artist did it, how come I can't do it? Because there's 50 to 200 people surrounding that artist from that industry that knows what that industry wants. So if your team is not in the North American music industry, then you're not going to get into it. You don't know. You don't know what you're giving them. And they don't know what you're giving them. And they don't want it. Give them what they want. So if they're listening to trap and you realize it's a bunch of trap stuff, you know what you do as a Jamaican musician. If you're trying to break in the North American market, you put out a project with all those people on it. So you go, ooh, Cardi B's hot. You get a track with Cardi B. You get a track with Pop Smoke, R.I.P. You get a track with 5-Year Foreign. You get a track with NLE Chopper. You get a NBA Youngboy, and you get all of those people that are currently servicing the market, and then you service the market with them, not against them. You pay your money, you get your verses, you get your hooks, you get your beats. Whichever producer is hot right now, whichever sound is hot right now, whichever style is hot right now, or whatever your style is, you put those people into your element. A lot of these things aren't happening. You get me? It's very rare that somebody calls up Cardi B to do a dancehall record. But when it does, people talk about it. And those things need to keep snowballing. You build up those things and use that momentum. There's not momentum being used. And when you look at the Grammys, you're saying, man, how didn't our people win the Grammys? Because your people aren't in the academy that votes on the Grammys. And a lot of people don't understand how the Grammys work. And they think that it's based on quality, it's based on sales, it's based on nothing. It's based on absolutely nothing at all. It's based on whether or not everyone else in the industry knows you. So if you want to make waves in the North American music industry and get Grammys, you have to link with everybody else that's getting Grammys. That's why Shaggy got a Grammy very recently, because who did he decide to team up with? Sting. Sting already has 40 plus Grammys. And adding Shaggy's too, it's a no-brainer that they get a Grammy. If Sting drops an album, Sting is getting a Grammy. So if you're on Sting's album, you're getting a Grammy. It's chess, not checkers. It's chess, not checkers. You have to think outside of... Yeah, you have to see where art and commercialism meet. What do they want? Can you make what they want? If you can make what they want, make it and give it to them. You have to play the game how the game needs to be played. So if you want to win a Grammy, you need to join the American Music Academy, because the Grammy is an award voted on by the American Music Academy. So if you're not a part of the American Music Academy, your say, your gripe, your complaint is null and void. So if your artist never win a Grammy and you not on the Grammy committee, that's your fault. Now, if you want to talk about something else, if you want to talk about the billboards is based on sales. That's based on sales and stats. So it's a different kind of popularity. It's a different kind of popularity. Grammys is a very precise popularity. If you are not within this committee of people and you have not voted, you have not collected enough votes from these committee of people, then you don't get an award. And if those people don't know you and they know somebody else, especially in reggae, where majority of the American Music Academy is not listening to reggae every day. They're not putting in the new Chronicler, Javelin, 6 CD. It's not like that. You know what I mean? So when they don't know who a lot of these people are. So that's why it's very easy for a Ziggy Marley to win or a Damian Marley to win, because they know Marleys. They might not have ever heard the project, but they know the Marleys. They know the Marleys know more than they know Chronics and Protege. Coffee did the right thing. Coffee gave them what they want. They want some positive, uplifting songs. We're going to give them some positive, uplifting songs. And just keep working that. And that's how you make that wave. You need people in the industry. It's very hard to work the industry from the outside. But then at the same time, you have to think outside of your music, because a lot of your money doesn't necessarily come from streaming sales. Okay, the Billboard Award is based on stats. That's based on streaming sales. That's based on airplay. That's based on social media interaction, stuff like that. Grammys' popularity within the committee. And if you want one of those awards, you have to play one of those games. You either have to sell the most records in the country, or be one of the most popular industry people in the country. You either have to play the industry or play the people. It's two games. That's how you get either one of those awards. You either play the industry or you play the people. So you either make a song that goes ridiculously viral and it's like such a big hit song, and you work it everywhere so that no one doesn't know it, and it gets the most plays, the most airplay, the most internet streams, the most everything, and then you win a Billboard. You go around and you mingle and you schmooze at all these industry mixers, and Sony is having a this and RCA is having a this, and you link up with this person and oh yeah, such and such is working on a project, and then you end up working on everybody's project. You know why? Because everybody there is going to get a Grammy anyway. So you schmooze to get in and you just work on every project. Work on everybody's thing. But sales is not where most of the people in the Northern American music industry make their money. Where most of them make their money is in touring. It's in touring, it's in merchandise, it's in everything else surrounding the music. The music is to promote everything else. The music is to promote that I'm performing the music. It's to promote the shirt. It's to promote the CD. It's to promote this opportunity to get a picture of me, to get a video of me. Because you like this song. So, if you're banking everything on sales, and on popularity, but yet the artists are still unable to access the country due to visa restrictions, you're gonna have a hard time because you're literally cutting yourself off from 95% of your revenue. Being able to perform your music live is where you're going to make 95% of your money. Because that is what entails your merch. That's what entails the venue costs. That's what boosts the CD sales, the album sales, the streaming sales. That's what boosts everything. Being being live somewhere is what boosts everything that you do as a musician. And if you're unable to be in the country that you're trying to service, you're going to get 5% of your income. So it's almost like a waste of time if you don't have a visa already. And if you already live in the market, you see those people have an easier time. There's a lot of people that are having a hard time. But I think the number one key, I feel like I've been talking too long now. Um, but I feel like the number one thing you could do from the Jamaican music industry is to find who wants you and rock with those people. Rock with who? Rock with you. The North American market don't care. They don't care. If they're gonna lock you out all the time and ignore you whenever they get a chance and then steal, okay, here's what the Northern American market would rather do. They would rather you be an American born citizen of Caribbean descent and you re-sing a song from 20 years ago and then they contact that person and get the royalties than to have that person come and perform. So it's you're fighting a losing battle. Fighting a losing battle. You know what I suggest? I suggest Europe. Places like Germany love reggae and dancehall. Places like Africa love reggae and dancehall. The Latin market loves reggae and dancehall. And there's a lot of dancehall artists. There's a lot of dancehall artists that you probably wouldn't believe is thriving currently in the Latin market. A lot of Jamaican musicians that thrive, that's the crazy thing. A lot of Jamaican musicians that thrive outside of the Jamaican music industry. Like it's not with its help. It's not with its help. It despite of the trials it is to be a musician in Jamaica. So I suggest looking to who like you and who work with or working with you. Link up with the Latin market. Link up with the Latin market. They're making Spanish dancehall. Do some English dancehall, Spanish dancehall. You're good to go. Tap into that market. Do some tunes with J Balvin and Maluma and all of those people. That's why Sean Paul did it. Made sense, right? More collaborations. Work with who I work with you. The the biggest I can say. Because if you were to look at somebody like Cutty Ranks, you would never know that Cutty Ranks had like a number one song a year or two ago, right? When was the last time you heard something from Cutty Ranks in the Jamaican music industry? There's not really a Jamaican music industry. And I feel like that's where we even need to start. There's not a real Jamaican music industry. An industry would mean that I could be a musician, I could be a no name, nobody musician, and I could make a living being a nobody that plays music. I just play bass for this guy. And you don't even really know that guy. But that's enough that I can sustain a lifestyle. And Jamaica don't have that. You have to be the cream of the crop to live off of only music in the Jamaican music industry. You have to be the cream. And even then, and even then, but that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. Thank you so much, Janelle, for the question. Big up, everybody. I'm gonna post this on YouTube. Big up my Twitch crew. If you have any questions like that, like, share, subscribe, comment below. I'll respond to any questions you have in the comments.